Survivors, seekers, and thrivers, welcome to Transcending Trauma, a spiritual odyssey. I'm Shari Lee Roberts, living proof that transformation is real. Get ready for powerful insights, inspiring stories, and a little laughter along the way.
Hello, and welcome back. I am blessed once again to have another incredible guest. Please welcome Cynthia Rivard, a spiritual teacher, a seer, energy master, author, and environmental advocate. Her book, which we are definitely going to talk about towards the end, maybe before hope for a new era. Welcome, and again, thank you for coming on, giving your time. I and my listeners appreciate that, and you.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. I am delighted to be here. I appreciate you having me, and I'm looking forward to what we get to share today with your listeners.
I agree. So, yeah, you all know, listeners, our Siberia teams join us and direct the conversation. And they are telling me to jump right into your book. And to hope for a new era. Now, I'll admit I haven't read. I haven't even looked into it. And I intentionally deal with that. I don't want to know too much about my guest. So as to have preconceived thoughts or notions. So will you tell us what led up to your book and when you wrote it?
Well, I just wrote this book this past winter, and what led up to it was, well, basically my spiritual awakening. Very late in life, I had been in executive leadership and never thought of myself as spiritual. I thought when I saw people who were intuitive that that was a gift, that they recognized in childhood, and I was old, I didn't have it, and poor me. And I would say about, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, I started becoming curious and just following the breadcrumbs. And as it turns out, that was my time. I was meant to wake up. I was intentionally kept asleep up until then, very, very busy with my life, working and raising 4 children. But it was time to wake up. And one of the things I was told early on after I developed my claircognizance, and I am a crystal clear channel now. I get very clear guidance all day long.
Yeah.
And I was told that I had a number of books I needed to write to get out into the world, this message. And Hope for a New Era was the first one, although I was told that there is not a large number of the population right now who are ready for the message. It's time, and everyone needs to hear it. So, excuse me. The books that I've written are all channeled. It just comes through me. I never wanted to be an author. I had no desire. I didn't think I wrote well, although I was being overly critical, but this just came through me. And the book is really about, well, hope for our next era, this period that has been spoken of throughout millennia by different religions, or in the spiritual space now, people call it the new earth. Buddhists look for nirvana. There's this paradise that everyone's talking about that we get to one day move toward. But the times now, we are needing to co-create this new era now with divinity. And part of the message and the myth that I need to clear up is this concept of the new earth, or paradise on earth, or whatever paradigm you're believing in. Excuse me. It's not going to be handed to us.
No.
There are things we need to intentionally do, and we need to get busy listening to our divine guidance so that we know the right actions to take to co-create this beautiful new world. And it's not on a different planet or a different dimension. It's here, this earth, this beautiful planet that we are leaking toxicity all over right now, and just making a mess of. This beautiful planet is the new earth, or paradise, when we choose to take the actions necessary to create it. And it's all up to us. The pain and the suffering that humans have been embroiled in throughout our history, the frequencies are expanding, and we are able to lift our frequencies and diffuse those heavy trapped emotions and move into the more joyful emotions, raise our consciousness, and experience this new way of being. And excuse me.
You would drink and all talk. Well, you figure on a high level, or whatever level you are drawn to, how we are meant to up level increase our consciousness levels. take it down to who you and I used to be. I was you. And executive corporate America in the grind, raising two children, living a life that was expected of me. I equated to being on a hamster wheel. We're unhappy, but each day we get up and keep doing it again and again and again until something happens that does awaken us. So, can you also tell us what the cataclysmic moment was, and how you elevated your consciousness?
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of questions in there. So remind me if
Yeah,
I forget to address any.
no, yeah,
Well, for me, it wasn't one cataclysmic event that created my desire to wake up spiritually. I didn't know it's what I was doing. I was following the breadcrumbs, and everyone has a different path, right?
yeah,
For
yeah,
some people, they're shaken awake because,
yeah,
they're just done or things get bad. But for me, I was just curious and following the breadcrumbs because it was time. I was led in a particular direction because it was time to wake me up. And the curiosity allowed it to happen faster than it might have otherwise. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I am actually. What were those breadcrumbs? People are wondering,
Uh-huh.
listening to you. What are they? What is she talking about?
Okay.
Am I getting breadcrumbs
Right.
that
Well,
I'm not following? What
yes.
are they?
So, well, first of all, if you're listening to this and wondering, then you are following the breadcrumbs because here you are listening to this.
Uh,
But for me, I started on a personal development journey because I had started a business and when we shift identities, there are roadblocks we come up against. And I was going down the personal development rabbit hole when, of course, I came across people in the spiritual space. And I just started listening. It's not something I had ever done intentionally, but I just started listening and tuning in as my body started telling me. So clairsentience is the first clair that I noticed. That is communication in your body. A lot of people think of this as just everyday intuition. You get a gut feeling, but most of the time it's your divine aspect or higher consciousness, inner wisdom, I often call it, or my favorite, I call it my divine GPS.
yeah.
but your intuition communicating with you, and often people recognize those feelings in their body, but they don't think of it as divinity. The minute you recognize whether it's clear consciousness, so you just have a knowing, or a feeling in your body, which is what I recognized first, the minute you recognize that, you are spiritually awake. If you recognize that's where it's coming from, it doesn't mean you're good at it, because it's a skill we need to develop.
Yes.
But you recognize it. Now, I didn't know any of this. This was all explained to me when I got really clear and,
Yeah.
had full sentences coming in telling me, oh, yes, now you're spiritually awake, you're clear, cognizance, you're channeling, all of these things that I did not
Yeah.
seek out. And I would have run scared if I'd known or
Yeah.
thought about it.
Yeah.
And also I was just self-deprecating. Oh, that's not for me. I'm not gifted. I'm too old. I couldn't do that. But lo and behold, I was doing it without really recognizing what I was doing. It's
Yeah.
available to everyone, is something that I
Yes.
just want to hone in on there.
Yes.
And it's a skill.
Yep.
So when you recognize it, you're awake. You just need to practice, and it will get better, and you'll get more confident. You'll start to trust it.
Yes.
So that was how I came into it. And it came, oh, one other thing. So raising our frequency can really help with our divine connection, because divinity operates at a very high frequency. And so the
Yeah.
higher our frequency, the more clear the communication can be, or the more frequent. It becomes stronger as you raise your
Yes.
frequency.
Yes.
So something that happened to me when the uh, emotional frequency scale expanded exponentially a couple of years ago, I didn't know this was all going on, but my frequency went through the roof, because it was my path and it was time for me to wake up. And so at that point, the claircognizance became a lot more clear, and I started hearing and understanding a lot more. But it was the clairsentience, those sensations, that helped me build trust in what I was doing, because I would say, I'm thinking I should do X, or is such and such in my highest good. And I'd get these sensations that validated what I already knew but didn't trust.
Yep. Yeah.
So so raising your frequency is good for many reasons. The first being that it helps you connect more clearly with your divine aspect or inner wisdom. When your frequency gets to its highest ascension point, which is the highest frequency you are meant to get to in this lifetime, which for most people on the planet is 500 million bioenergy units, which is quite high, but available to everyone. And when you reach that, your divine consciousness will help your conscious awareness raise. So when we talk about raising consciousness, we're talking about what we think of as ourselves, our conscious awareness of whatever we're aware of. So you become more aware of your divine aspect, and then you become more aware of those higher frequency emotions that we all want to enjoy. You become more aware of being compassionate and having unconditional love, or feeling joy. And you, as your consciousness raises, you still experience a breadth of emotion, but it doesn't go as low. Like, there's variations, because we're
Yes.
human. You might get irritated, but you're not going to get really angry, if that makes sense.
Oh, completely. I just want to add to that beautiful explanation that in order to raise your consciousness or energetic vibration, we must remove heavy energetic blocks. So people, some listening, are totally into what we are talking about, and they're like, but how do I do it? What happens between where I'm at in a relationship, a terrible job, terrible history, trauma. How do you go from there to where you're talking? And it's all about energy healing. Okay, and we talk about that in other episodes. I just wanted to clarify that. That is how you go from low vibration to where you're talking way up here. And I've been way down, and now I'm way up. Is there you? So keep on talking.
Okay. Well, if I could expand on what you were just saying about raising your frequency, there's a couple more things I like to share. And yes, being open to energy work and diffusing those trapped emotions that can keep your frequency down is important, because otherwise it's held down by those trapped emotions. So there's a couple things I recommend. Number one is learning how to measure your frequency so you know where it is, and you know if it's stuck, if it hasn't gone up in a month and you're not at your highest ascension point, then it's stuck. And there's actually two things that could be contributing. One is energetic blocks, which can easily be diffused with energy work. The other is not being in a high enough frequency environment or around other high frequency individuals. If you are the highest frequency person in your friend group, there's nothing that's going to help you rise after you get to a certain point. Now, most of the planet is under 500 bioenergy units, and yet we want everyone to get to 500 million. So there's a lot of room there for growth. And the first thing, after making sure it's not stuck, that you can do to lift it is to get out in nature, which has a frequency of 1 million. So that won't get you to 500 million, but that will really help lift you because you've got that magnetic pull going on. So that's one of the first things I recommend if people, are lower on the frequency scale. So, okay. Yeah.
Luke. Hello,
baby.
Okay. Go, go. Thanks.
So cute.
Okay, go.
Well, so I just wanted to add that those are some other things to
Yeah.
look at, but you want to, so one of the misunderstandings that a lot of people have is that if they just focus on thinking positive thoughts,
Yeah.
they'll raise their frequency, or the frequency isn't high because they're not thinking enough positive thoughts. They're not a positive person. That's not true. Now, as your frequency rises, it's easier to retain some of those higher, better frequency emotions. But what you're thinking doesn't create the frequency. It's where your frequency's at that will enable you to hold those happier emotions for longer periods. The other thing I'll just mention, going back to the energy work you mentioned, sometimes it takes a while. Like if you've been doing energy work for a long time and your frequency is rising and rising and you're in a positive place, and all of a sudden it gets stuck, you might think, well, what did I do to create that? I have not held any heavy emotions. And what's happening, and I don't know, people just be open to what I'm saying. You don't have to embrace it, but a lot of us bring trapped emotions in from past lives, and those can be buried very, very deep, and they'll be there until your frequency gets to a point where it bubbles up to the surface and we can diffuse it. So it can't go away until your frequency gets to a particular point. And I'll just share that the last round of trauma from a past life, I didn't release. I couldn't get to until my frequency was at 400 million. It was that deep.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if all of a sudden you think you're doing well and you're not in a bad space emotionally, and all of a sudden it's stuck.
Yep. That is well said. And in a way, I have never heard it explained, but have experienced it. And even as we get up way into that stratosphere, there are still things that we need to discover and release. I think it is important that people know our souls never stop learning and growing.
Absolutely.
And to be gentle with yourself and celebrate every step forward. Like you, I, through my healing journey, was angry, frustrated when I just couldn't move up at the pace I wanted to. But now people are fortunate in that there's people like us who can help them identify blocks and where they are and what they are before really moving them. So you went through this and you're elevating. At what point did you get clear communication on your book that you were going to write it, you were to write it. I didn't want to write mine either. I mean, I can relate 100% in fact. I told Spirit, no, I'm not. I'm not doing. I am not going to admit to the world that I effed up my life, that I endured abuse. It was just humiliating at that point to think about it. Well, you know, we have no choice when we are told to do something. We need to do it.
Well, if I could make a point about that, because it's so interesting, I was just going to say congratulations for you for leaning in and trusting and doing it anyway, even though you didn't want to. But we do have choice. So celebrate yourself because you chose to listen. And, people ask this, and when we talk about our divine GPS and this guidance we have and your soul's path and purpose, it puts some people off because they think, well, but we have free choice, or don't we? Do we not have free choice? And we always do. And that is the reassuring thing. You like divinity is your GPS, but you're in the driver's seat and you always have choice, and you can always say no. But my question always is, well, why would you? I've heard people say this. Well, I didn't like that answer, so I'm going to go this way instead. You have that choice. But if you want the most fulfilled, joyful life possible, and you want to do what is in your greatest good, which you don't always know, but they do, why would you not listen?
Yes. That is excellently said. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So, and similar to yourself, Sherry, I felt like I didn't have a choice, but it was because I thought, well, why wouldn't I listen? It's divinity. Who does that? But we do have a choice.
Yes. So you were told write a book.
Yes, I was. So I heard about the book and some other pivots I was supposed to make probably maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. It was just when I got really clear, it started hitting me hard with all of these crazy things I hadn't thought about before.
Yeah.
But with the book, I sat down and I wrote a couple of books that then I was told, you know what, the world's not ready. We're just going to put that on pause and not do anything with it right now. And I feel like it was also just a practice and a learning process for me that they took me through that. But those books were never published. And I went back and pulled some pieces from them, but the book that I did publish, I didn't start until, I don't know, January, I think.
So, what made you start this one? And did you know this one would be the right message for right now?
Well, it was all just divine guidance. I was told,
Yeah.
okay, we have to get it out. The time is now. And
Yeah.
no, it is not going to be a bestseller right away. No, there's a lot of people not ready for it, but we need to get it out because some people are ready.
Yeah.
We need to get it out. There's a lot of misunderstandings about the new earth. We need to get it out and help people understand that they have to tap into their divine guidance so they know what to do. And we all need to start taking more actions. One of the things I talk about in the book, and I won't go down the rabbit hole too far, but just the horrible state of our planet environmentally. We've done a lot of damage to it. And when I first wrote the book, actually, I was told that we were driving toward extincting ourselves in 6 years, like way earlier than scientists are predicting. And I now know that divinity has done some things to intervene and slow the whole process down because they're not going to fix it for us. They want humans to wake up and be responsible, good Earth citizens, good stewards of the Earth, but they're also not going to let us extinct ourselves, which is the path we're on. So until more of us wake up, and I don't mean spiritually, but just as far as being good stewards of the earth, until there's more of a collective response to doing better for the planet and for each other, we're going to continue to see a lot of pain and suffering and extreme weather events caused by that, but we're not going to end up with extinction because in time more people will come around and will take some, I think, drastic actions at this point to turn the trajectory around and heal the planet.
Amen. Definitely. Okay. I cannot believe we are almost at the hour. I'm always sad at this time. I just want to keep talking. Tell us again the name of your book, where people can get it, and any words of wisdom to help those listening who want to know how to elevate their energy.
Surely. Thank you. Well, the book is called Hope for a New Era, and you can find it at hopeforanewerra.com, or information on it rather. And my website, cynthiarivard.com. That's RIVARD.com. You'll find information on both my books, as well as a link to my YouTube trainings and some free resources I have there. I highly recommend
Nice.
that you check out my training and frequency chart, where I talk about how to measure and how to lift your frequency. So I have a number of resources available there. And of course, the book's on Amazon and other major online retailers as well.
Nice.
So thank you for asking. Yeah.
So, what are your final words of wisdom? If someone walked up to you and asked, I'm miserable, I know I am meant to be and do more. I just don't know how to do it, let alone how to begin. What would you tell them?
So, two things. Rather than trying to overthink, I would say just take one small action today to explore a passion or something that's piqued your interest. Doesn't mean you're going that way, but just explore, stay open and curious. But don't just sit and think about it, because until you take an action, you don't have the feedback that you need to know if you want to explore it further or try something else. So any action is better than no action at all, to try and explore possibilities. The second thing is just to reiterate that the best thing you can do for yourself is to hone that spiritual skill, that connection with your inner wisdom, because that is how you're going to know your path. To not second guess it. You may have an idea already, but we all second guess ourselves. And we get into a lot of fear or analysis paralysis, don't we? Because it's human nature. If it involves any kind of a change, there's going to be fear and resistance. The number one way I got to the point where I just don't experience fear anymore is by honing my inner wisdom and knowing I'm on the right path. It doesn't mean I'm always successful. That's important to realize, because you have to fail forward. You have to take actions and get feedback and then check in again. Okay, now what? Do I go this way or this way? Until you have that clear guidance, you may stay in inaction or doubting yourself. But when you know that you're clearly guided, the fear falls away, and you know where you can start taking those baby actions and get into motion, and you start feeling empowered and knowing whether you've created your purpose yet or not, you're on the right path to it.
Yes. Beautifully said. And I would like to emphasize what you said, that we are all born with intuitive abilities, and discovering them and developing them is the key to happy life, getting to where our soul came here to be. Thank
Absolutely.
you, dear lady. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Transcending Trauma, the Spiritual Odyssey. If you're working to overcome trauma and would like to work with me or be a guest on my show, contact me through my website at shariroberts.org. Please hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss any episodes. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn at Shari Roberts. You can find all the links in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Shari Roberts, your host, reminding you that you're never alone. Until next time, sending you love and light.